Welcome back, listeners. Today we deep dive into Memademay 2020 and what's excited our style for this year's challenge. Did anyone say the Burnside bib, Palisade trousers or CLO? You're listening to So Organised Style podcast produced by me, Maria Theoharis Velosos, and Anne Wally, the Pattern Whisperer. This is Series 2, Episode 15. Stay listening and thanks for coming back to Part 2 of our chat with Zoe Edwards, the heart behind Memademay 2020.
Hi everyone, it's Maria Theoharis. You'll know me as Velosos, and today my co-host is
Anne Wally, the Pattern Whisperer.
And we have a very special guest today.
Hi, I'm Zoe Edwards. I blog at Sozo What Do You Know, and I'm on Instagram at Sozo Blog.
And this month is May, isn't it, Anne?
And I'm so excited. It's Memademay. If ever we needed a photo challenge, it's now. So thank you, Zoe. We're really excited. We're going to have fun chatting with you today.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you for inviting me.
The Memademay thing, we think, oh, how on earth can I get that done for the whole of May? But, you know, it's a funny thing, especially with the isolation. I have to say that I pulled out my coat this morning. I was just going to run up the street and I thought, I'm just going to have to mix it up because I'm going to take the same photos every day otherwise. So this is helping me get a grip because we should be able to get out of isolation one day, and I don't want to forget how to actually dress in something differently.
Yeah.
It's a concern. And don't make too many desserts because, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about that. Better off to buy one little dessert and share it between two at home than you are to bake a whole batch of scones and eat the whole lot.
I'm just worried about how terrible my hair's going to get.
It'll be fine.
I don't think we're going to be able to ever get a haircut. I think that there's just going to be queues and queues, isn't there, at the hairdressers eventually.
Yeah, I had to colour my own a couple of weeks ago. We don't have to, but I did because I just wanted to be safe. And I know, look, at the end of every Memademay, I usually have about 5 bags of clothes to give away to charity that I actually have enough insight to be able to figure out, no, that doesn't work. Why did I make that? So it just goes, I can't refashion. I just give it away.
That's a really great thing, though, because then you feel free. By doing the things that you really think is going to be a hassle, it ends up being a blessing in disguise because you see things differently, have a different idea, and you get that feel of an outfit too. It's only by wearing it do you really get the true assessment, because when you sit down, are you thinking about it, or is it you don't think you've got anything on? That's my key. If I feel like I'm just relaxed and not thinking about it, that's the best outfit to wear.
Good advice.
So how often do you sew? Like how often do you create a new garment?
Well, I've got a husband who's been coming home at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, so I tend to sew in my room so I can sew pretty steadily without any interruptions because I do my day's work and then we see each other in the morning. So it works out that, you know, if I can and I use them for props in my speaking engagement, so I can make as many weird things as I want because really we want to talk about something interesting. So it gives me a license to get the crazy fabric out and try it with all different ways. So I think I could probably make about 10 things a week, but I try not to. I suppose I could. And that's lined jackets. That's not just quick things. I make all sorts of things. And testing patterns because you want to test them. You want to see how that works. Can I do it in an easier manner? But Maria, you sew a lot. You've got a whole big situation going on, haven't you?
I do the monthly commitment for Minerva, and I have probably for 7 years now. So I've got plenty of those makes that I've done, and I can make something a week, which I had done for a very long time. So I've got plenty for Memademay, but I try not to do that. I try and do as much re-wearing as I can so that I can better choose what to make next. So I'm not wasting my time. I'm not wasting fabric. And yourself, Zoe?
What garments have you got that you're most excited to wear this month?
Well, definitely my jumpsuits.
Cool.
Because it's knit fabric, it's just one piece, and I've probably got 6 of them, so I could probably wear one a week.
What pattern or what patterns are those?
there's a McCall's one that I made early on. Actually, I wore it yesterday. Anyway, so I made that, I think, 3 times. And the most recent one that I made was the Intrepid boiler suit by Alice & Co. And then there was,
I know that one.
Yeah, and then there was another one that I made last year, a style arc one. So the pattern is a jumpsuit plus a dress.
Oh, wow.
So I've made that a couple of times. Look, I've got plenty, and I wear them a lot. Yeah.
And what garment are you most excited to wear this month?
I made my first jumpsuit about a week or so ago. That was just before the cold weather hit us, and I thought, this feels great. So I might venture down there. But while I was over in America just over a month ago, before it all went crazy.
I was like, whoa, you travelled.
Well, I got some amazing patterns because I hate to buy indie patterns via the mail. I just thought, if I want it right now, and I don't want a PDF because that's going to backburner the whole situation. So I bought a bag full of amazing patterns that fear of missing out that I've been watching on Instagram for a while, and I thought, no, I'm just getting them, I'm just doing it, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I made a lot of things to go over before the trip because I do a lot of speaking over there and I wanted that fresh feel, but I didn't finish a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think I might even finish the ones I've already cut out because they're still fresh. It's only a couple of months and it was cool when I went. So it's still in the same zone. I get a lot of extra winter time. So there's some merino colours, yellow merino jumpers.
Ooh.
I'm going to do some puffy sleeves. I've got some pinafores that I've got a brown one that I made out of velvet. And I think, okay, I think I might make something else in a different style, like more of a, there's a few different pinafores I've been watching and I have a larger chest measurement than some. So I've got to be careful that I don't look too...
Right, yeah.
I don't want it too much. I want it to look streamlined. So this is what I'm battling with, that I pick the right one. So I might mix a few patterns together and have a little look. But the Burnside bibs have got me today.
Yeah.
I've been looking at them.
Oh, I love them. I've got a pair and I love them.
Did you know that Simplicity have the Burnside bibs in a dress?
Yes, one of my students, one of my sewing classes was wearing it. And I was like, is that a dress version of the Burnside bibs? And she was like, it's a Simplicity pattern. I was like, but it's the same.
Yes.
What's that about? Like the pockets and everything, aren't they?
Yes. What a wonderful
How
idea.
Does that work? Did someone buy the licensing? I don't know how that's worked.
I think different designers put their patterns in with the companies and they have some license there for a while and it's a short-lived thing. I don't think it goes on forever. But I could not believe it. I thought, I didn't even know you could get that in a dress. So I grabbed it. And what's those pants with the gathered at the back and is it paper cut patterns and it's got the pockets in the front and it's gathered at the back?
Is it the Palisade pants?
I think it is.
What an interesting kind of lapped over pocket design.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It might not be that one, but I know the back is gathered. And I thought, I'm not doing a back gathered. I'm going to change that. I'm going to make it so it's flat with a zip, but I'll do the front okay because I want the front. I love the pockets. They're kind of down further and they've got they're a very popular pattern. I just can't remember the name of it. And the Cielo, Cielo, that one with that fantastic sleeve.
Yeah, that looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Oh, so Susan Kalji, she had a version in the class when we were doing a class with her. I just said, what is that pattern? And she said, well, everyone's wearing it and I had to make it. And I thought, I better do that one. So there's a lot that I'm going to be very excited to sit down and make. I'm excited.
It's good that you're feeling so inspired.
What's on your list?
Oh my goodness, such an enormous list. At the moment, I'm battling through this kind of bizarre jacket I'm making that's kind of maybe made out of like a patchwork of denim scraps. It sounds bizarre. It sounds bizarre. It could go one way or the other. The jury is still out. So I'm working on that. I'm just making the lining at the moment. But I've just cut out a blouse I'm so excited to make. It's a French pattern company. It's called Slow Sunday Paris is the name of the company. And they have this blouse called the Dorothy blouse. And it is so pretty. The pattern's in French, so I could copy a bit and then put it into Google Translate and, and work it that way. I've made it twice before. It's got this really beautiful sleeve detail. It's really classic. It's quite almost like a 1940s little blouse. It's really sweet. And I've got this very lovely viscose that I've had in my stash for over a year that I've been kind of really biding my time waiting for the right combination of pattern and fabric. And I've just cut that out. I decided that it's going to be that. Now that I've made that pattern a couple of times, I trust it, with my precious fabric. So there next. I've also about to make a pair. Do you know the Made by Ray Luna pants? They're like an elasticated waist pants, fairly full, slightly tapered leg that's also elasticated at the ankle.
Oh, I might have
really
to look that up. Beautiful.
Yeah, Made by Ray Luna pants. They're really nice. And I've got some gorgeous kind of ochre coloured tencel twill. That I'm going to make those in. Yeah, it's a lovely colour. It's not a colour that I can wear right close to my face, so I think down there will be fine, Yeah, that's probably my next 3 projects, I'd say. My stash, I'm actually managing to kind of whittle my stash down a little bit because I was feeling that I was a bit uncomfortable with its size, but yeah, this lockdown's helped.
You know what's so funny? Like, I know people feel that, if it starts building up, they get worried. I get worried if mine goes down. It's
very, very subjective thing, isn't it?
It is. I feel as if my life might end because I know someone who lived in our street quite a few years ago, and he was worried about being alone. He really was worried. He was a lovely man, but he was worried about being alone. Anyway, he did all his renovations. He was going to move to the beach, but he ended up, as soon as his renovations were finished, he had to go to someone's funeral and all his friends were there and it was just a wonderful thing, but he had an aneurysm in the church and he died.
Oh my goodness.
He wasn't alone.
Oh my goodness.
But it kind of made me think, don't finish everything, Anne. It just made me think that's dangerous. So I don't know. I'm overreacting though. I think I've gone too far the other way.
That's so interesting. I always feel like I'm about to move house at any time. I mean, that might not have been the reality, but I always feel like I must keep things pared down so I can move at any time.
Yes.
So when my possessions start to get too much, I mean, it's hard now I've got 2 small children, but it makes me feel a bit anxious. So I'm trying to keep things manageable so that, I don't know, not just moving, but just in general, I feel a bit anxious having more stuff than I can use realistically. Yeah. That is fascinating.
Is that because you've lived in different countries?
Yeah, I've moved a lot. Since being a teenager, since I left my parents' house and I went to university, I've moved a lot. And yeah, I guess I like having the freedom to move and change my life up as and when. I mean, obviously, that's not so much of a reality now, but I mean, I might move. We're hoping to move again at some point within the next year, hopefully. I mean, lockdown permitting and jobs permitting. And obviously it's not so simple now, we've got children, but yeah, I don't feel tied to any one place. I want to experience places and different versions of life as possible, so yeah.
It makes perfect sense then that you don't want to have your stash get too big because then you can't move when you feel like moving.
Yeah, and also I feel like, I mean, there's a lot of resources in fabric, isn't there? Fabric has a large water footprint and carbon footprint, and fabric production can be quite damaging, and it often is quite damaging. So to have all that kind of footprint and whatever sitting on my shelf for a long time feels like a bit of a waste as well. I feel a little bit uncomfortable about that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's definitely the values. Like, I think some people like to have a very minimalistic wardrobe with a capsule and they'll wear that day in, day out. When I do a travel wardrobe, I feel like that mini capsule, but I could scream. By the time I've come back from the holiday, there's no love left. So I have to put them away for a couple of years.
That's so interesting, yeah.
Such a funny thing where it's almost like, you know how you have your food and if you eat different things on different days, and it's lovely to have a set menu so that you save money because you're not making different things.
Yeah.
I like cookbooks, but I don't like following them. And I shove it all in together and I make different meals. I'd love to replicate some of the menus, but I can't. It depends on what there is and what I feel like. And I think I'm a bit like that with the fabric. It's all very organic.
Yeah, what's your stash like, Maria?
Out of control. Pure and simple.
I wonder as well if there's an element though, like I don't, because I mean, property, I live in the southeast of England, which is a really expensive place to live. So generally the places we live in are really small. So we don't have a lot of storage. I wonder if, I mean, you know, when I see pictures of, you know, like US sewing bloggers and everything, and they've got a whole room for sewing, that feels like, I can't even imagine what that's like. I bet if I had a whole room for sewing, I don't know that I wouldn't feel so like I needed to have a tiny stash, you know. I wonder if there's an element of just the space you have available that you know you're going to grow to fill it, and that would change your perception a bit.
I think the thing Anne was saying, it depends on your value. So from my perspective, I've got fabric that I bought on holiday. So for me, they're memories of places that I've been to. And so when I eventually get to them, it means something to me. Yeah. Instead of buying T-shirts every time I go somewhere, I buy fabric.
Yeah. I always like to try and buy buttons when I go on holiday.
But it's funny, like when I had 2 children and I was bringing them up and I would see some wonderful fabric, I'd think to myself, that's okay. We'll get the fabric and we'll just change the menu a bit so that all works out at the end of the week. And it always did. And the more work I did to make up for the fabric that I purchased, the meal was better than what I would have done if I had have not bought the fabric. So everyone won. But I can tell you, if you see fabric and you know you've got to have it, you have to have it. That's it.
Yeah. I work part-time in an online fabric shop though, so it's intense. Yeah. Do you know Fabric Godmother?
Yes.
Yeah. I work there one day a week. Yeah. So I do get to stroke beautiful fabric quite a lot.
Oh, how lovely. She's got lovely fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah. The selection's amazing and it's all really good quality as well.
Yeah.
Do you get any souvenirs? Does she throw some your way or, there's only a little bit left?
I have a staff discount, let's say.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
Yeah, it is dangerous. And I went a little bit crazy with that the first year that I worked there, but I've managed to rein myself in a bit now.
You know, the hardest thing is, because I've worked in a fabric store for about 3 years and that didn't help my collection at all, but the longer you see it and then you see people purchasing it and you know you love it, but you think, no. And then you see that there might only be 2 meters left or 2 yards. It's a no-brainer. You're going to hate yourself if you don't get that fabric because you've already fallen in love with it. And you've spent a lot of time. Yeah. And then that's a very difficult thing.
Sometimes it works for me the other way. Like I think something's really lovely, but it's just sometimes just seeing it a lot is enough. It's almost like appreciating it like a painting or something, you know, like I can see it and it's beautiful, but I don't have to have it because I've seen it now for a couple of months and I enjoy seeing it and that's okay. I don't have to have every bit that I love, you know?
You know what's worse though? When I go shopping with my husband and I see a fabric that I love and I'll say I'll have 2.5 meters or 3 meters, and he says, "Get 10, get 10."
What?
I'm thinking, no, I don't want 10.
Your own like clothing line.
Oh my gosh, it's like I want variety. I don't want excess of one thing.
Yeah.
But he said, "You'll be sorry if you don't get it." Well, the ones that I have purchased 10 meters of, I just don't feel.
Yeah,
like I
you'll
can
get sick of them after a garment or two, won't you?
Oh, I don't know. So, or I'll make something elaborate, something with a lot of fabric that, you know how you need sometimes a lot of fabric? I know.
Just take the role, you may as well.
I did. So it's so, you know, no wonder I've got a problem.
He's an enabler.
I'll blame him. I'm going to blame him. But at least he's happy with, he'll see a piece and you go, "Oh my gosh, that's a killer." He goes, "I hope you bought enough because I don't want to hear how you haven't got enough." Because I'm always doing Tetris. Sweet. Don't you do that? Like you think, get what you think's enough and you'll say, "I'll just try and get that out of it."
Yeah.
Yeah. You just think, "I want a little bit more from this fabric," and you just squeeze it and I think, I should have probably got that extra half meter.
I know, I'm always like, if I do it like this, I could just make a pair of like jogging bottoms for my son, or I could just make some pants out of it as well, or
or make a bag. When I've got excess lining or excess denim. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, so Zoe, how are your patterns going?
Oh, my pattern?
Yeah.
I've kind of forgotten that I have it. It's something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I did it, but I'm sure anybody that has ever tried to draft and grade and digitize a pattern and then create instructions and photos and promote and everything, it's a really long and intense process that takes a long time. And you go through the testing process and everything. And I just, since having my second child, there's no time. There's no time. I don't have the time for that, unfortunately, anymore. So I have them. I have some patterns for sale, and I sell some sometimes. But also, I think that since I started started releasing my first pattern, which was about 6 years ago now, there are so many more indie pattern companies.
Yes.
There are so many more people. Like, it's just exploded, hasn't it? So,
it has.
So I think that, obviously there are a lot more people sewing as well, but I think there are more patterns than there are sewers. Not, in I'm not making sense, but it's the amount of time that and effort and energy that goes into making a pattern. You're not going to sell as many now as you would have done 6 years ago.
True.
Because there are so many tops and trousers and everything. There's so many more options out there now. So I just had to weigh that up, and it's not worth my time to go through that process anymore. Yeah. Maybe that will change in the future, but
look, you've done it.
That's not where my and it was amazing, and I'm really pleased that I did do it. But also, to do things to the level of professionalism.
Yes.
It's hard, and everybody's getting slicker and fancier and more professional, So it used to be, 10 years ago or whatever, when there were people that were just selling a couple of things through their blog. They just had photos of them wearing it. And now it seems that most, sewing pattern companies, they have full professional photo shoots for every new line that's coming out. And their packaging is so beautiful. And unless you are a graphic designer as well on the side, you're married to a photographer or something, I don't know that you can really tick all those boxes so easily anymore. The level of expectation, I think, is raised, is what I'm trying to say, I think.
However, if I see someone in something on Instagram, I don't care if it's swanky, if there is something about someone's personality that's made a pattern, and if they wear something and it looks amazing, I don't care about all those details. I just have to have the pattern to get a piece of that person. And I'm going to be looking at your patterns when I get a chance and see what they're like.
Really not worth it. But what is nice is I have a couple of patterns for free on my website that I see popping up on Instagram. I've got a free undies pattern, a free vest pattern. I still see people tag me in that they've used that. So that's really nice as well. I feel that that's something that is out there and people are enjoying that. So that's nice as well.
That is good. I'll check it out. That sounds like going up those little rungs on the ladder just to see trying out to see whether or not it's going to suit. If you don't do it, you'll never know.
Definitely. I'm not the kind of person that wants to have all their eggs in one basket, I've always much preferred working part-time here and my side hustle here and this over here and this over here and this collaboration over here. I've always much preferred working in that way than I work in this job and that's all I do, I find that very claustrophobic. Well, that went away from me a bit, didn't it?
We're interested.
Yeah.
It's just something that I don't really think about, so.
I'm glad you brought it up. I want to see. I love seeing what people do. I think that there's so many elements.
I think, maybe I'll take it down now. Maybe it's confusing on my blog, but then I'll sell some and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll leave it there then.
So, look, it's been really great that you've given us your time today. Do you have any final words for our listeners on So Organised Style Podcast?
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. I would just like to say that if you are interested in taking part in Me Made May, please don't feel that you need to have a wardrobe full of self-made clothing. You totally don't. You can take part even if you just have one self-made garment. You just have to work out a pledge that is viable and suitable for you. And I hope that you have a really fun month.
And what's the hashtag?
There are many hashtags popping up, but the main one is hashtag Memademay2020.
We'll never forget this Me Made May. We need it.
No, this is a special one.
It is special. Thanks for being here, Zoe.
We hope you're feeling more energised to take part in some way that makes you happy in Me Made May 2020. Make it your own and show your unique style. Cheers again to Zoe Edwards for keeping us engaged with our sewing selves and our sewing community friends during this time of isolation. This episode of Sew Organised Style podcast was produced by me, Maria Theaharis, and Anne Wally, the Pattern Whisperer. Sound by bensound.com. Sew Organised Style podcast, spelt with an S, not a Z, is available on our website seworganisedstyle.com with all the links to this podcast. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Libsyn, our podcast platform. You'll catch every episode when you subscribe to our podcast. Tell your friends about us, and we look forward to joining you in your sewing room soon.